Welcome to the first episode in this 2025 edition of Sabres vs. the Atlantic. If anybody hasn't listened to this series before, I mean, we've only done it 1 year, and that was last year. In this series, we pit the Buffalo Sabres up against their Atlantic Division foes and preview kind of what the opposing team has been doing during the off season, what their key storylines are going into the year. And then most notably of all, comparing lineups and giving our best guess, our most informed take on who we think is going to be better. As a Sabres fan, this series kind of sucks. I'm not going to really sugarcoat it. It kind of sucks.
No,
it feels like it's gotten... I feel like this year compared to last is going to be a lot. I think today's the only episode we're going to have some fun, I think.
You think?
I think so. We are going to have fun today, though. I know you, Christian, personally have been waiting for this day in your life where you can walk into just go up to a microphone and spew everything you have to say about the current state of the Boston Bruins.
I feel like once I open my mouth, we're going to fast forward 4 months, they're going to be 10 points ahead of us in the standings somehow. It happens every year. They can't keep getting away with it.
It happened last year. It just didn't end that way.
Oh, no, then they fell off a cliff.
I actually went back. I went back to look on the last day that the Sabres, their last game of the 13-game losing streak in December, which actually was against the Bruins, what the difference in records were. The Bruins had 7 more wins and had a 14-point lead. And I think the Sabres passed them before, mid-March. I feel like post-deadline, they basically passed them till the end.
Don't let them get hot. Don't let the meaningful games in March. Those are the meaningful games in March. Passing the Bruins, but still missing the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Today's episode, we will be putting the two basement dwellers of the Atlantic Division up against each other. The 8th place Boston Bruins from last season and your 7th place Buffalo Sabres. So it was interesting before we hit record, just kind of quickly discussing the episode real quick. And JP had an interesting comment. He said, I'm going to be honest, I don't know many of these guys on the Bruins roster. And I don't think I can really blame him, and I don't think that's a great sign for the how the Bruins, just how they're shaping up going into next season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm much of a NHL puck knower, greater NHL wide. I know my Sabres, that's about it. But some of these names I've never seen in my life, and it's not even like any of their lines are impressive. It's like Pastrnak. And that's literally it. I mean, they got Henry Jokiharju on their top pair, right? Like, come on. In 2025, they're doing this.
Casey Middlestad is locking down their second line.
Yeah, like
Jarvis, establish a center spine with Casey Middlestad in the middle of it.
Yeah, it's.
Oh my goodness!
It should be fun to talk about.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll just get right into it. So, last season. Was finally when time seemed to catch up with the Bruins. We were all waiting. When was it going to be the year? You know, we've probably been predicting it as far back as 2021, maybe. I mean, 2022, 23, we thought maybe was the year, and they went out and had the greatest regular season of all time. 23-24, we thought with Bergeron and Krejci being done, maybe that was the year, and then they made the playoffs yet again. And we sat here last year doing this episode, and we didn't even want to entertain trying to put the Sabres ahead of the Bruins in the standings. We knew it was a bad omen, and it just probably was not going to happen. And here we are, the summer of 2025, and the Bruins finally lost the race against time. They traded their captain, Brad Marchand, during the season, basically hit the big reset button or just wave the white flag at the NHL trade deadline. And they finished last season with a record of 33, 39, and 10 for 76 points. They had a minus 50 goal differential, which, for context, the Sabres had a minus 20.
That's their worst season in probably almost 2 decades, and that would probably be like a middle of the road drought season for this current Buffalo Sabres organization.
How many seasons have the Sabres had above 70, 75 points?
In the last 15?
I think just in the drought, maybe like 4.
Above 75 points?
I think so, yeah.
I'm going to say 5.
The first miss, I know they definitely did.
Mm-hmm.
I think Eichel's first season, they had well over 80. Or not well over, but they had over 80. Obviously, the 22-23 team. And then I think just 23-24. Is that it? Those 4 teams? They finished with 75 the one year. It's crazy to think. It's a spoiled city.
What a grade A organization we got over here, guys.
Well,
it is a spoiled city.
The fact of the matter is that the Bruins finally lost their race against time. They finished 8th place in the Atlantic Division last year, 3 points behind the Sabres, 3 wins less than the Sabres. Very, very surprising. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, they had a solid lead on them in late December. 7 more wins, 14 more points. The second half of the season was a disaster for the Bruins. So enough previewing of last season. How did they react to last season? That's the more important thing. This is obviously not exactly the norm for the Bruins franchise. How did they address maybe some of their scoring woes, goaltending, defense, basically anything? Well, let's get into that.
Started out by trading the face of the franchise away immediately.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see him on this list, but obviously Brad Marchand only missed about maybe like 20 games of the Bruins campaign last season after being traded, so he might as well be thrown in as a key departure on this list. Otherwise, it's just the edges of the roster that were really let go. Jacob Lauko, Tyler Pitlick, Vinny Lettieri, and Parker Wotherspoon. Like, nothing, no real impact players being sent out the door here. And even on the addition side, Victor Arvidsson was probably their marquee addition. Michael Eismont, they gave Tanner Jeannot a 5-year contract at $3.4 million per season.
Are they just trying? Sorry, keep going.
No, you're spot on. That was one of the big head scratchers of free agency, obviously. Bringing back Sean Corelli, and then I threw in Matej Blumel, who I'm sure you guys probably haven't heard of because I didn't hear of him. But I believe he was among the top scorers in the AHL last season and the past few seasons. So I think of him more as like a Seth Griffith type addition, and it seems like he's going to push for the opening night roster. So definitely not the most attention grabbing off season. From the offset, it doesn't give you much hope for a bounce back.
No. I was just going to say, are they trying to rebuild the 22-23 Tampa Bay Lightning with these additions like Mikey Eyssimont and Tanner Jeannot, who was on one of the ends of a historically terrible trade, and then Victor Arvidsson coming over? I think he brings some good scoring depth for them. But hey, I'm not trying to sound like a casual or anything, and you can call me a casual all you want, but some of these names, man, who are these people? And I see JP shaking his head. Who are some of these people? I've heard of Vinny Lettieri. I have never heard of Matej Blumel. Sean Corelli, I know. And then
They
It's
didn't
like
lose
who's
a
who.
lot. It's not like they went out, panic traded someone. Like, it's not like they, I don't know, like Hampus Lindholm. It's not like they flipped him, or like Pavel Zacha, like tried to upgrade on him. Like, they didn't really panic. They're kind of just staying the course, it seems, with the roster. Trying to improve the depth. Like, I really like Michael Eismont. Like, that's a guy, when he hit free agency, I think it was last year, like, he was a guy who always had good advanced numbers in Tampa, and I thought he would have been a welcome addition for the Sabres. So I like that addition to their bottom six. The contract given to Tanner Jeannot is one of the more just bad contracts in the league, but he obviously had that great rookie season, and maybe Boston's the place he can kind of recapture that. I mean, if there's any team you probably identify Tanner Jeannot with, I mean, that guy's he's a Boston Bruin.
It's a lot of grit right there.
Yeah. And obviously, Victor Arvidsson is somebody that could maybe get back to form after maybe not doing as well as people thought in Edmonton. So it's not bad. It's just, obviously, it's probably not the roster overturn that is necessary for them to leap back into like the top three in the division.
No, and I don't think that's their goal in the short term. Well, it's weird because we say it all the time. What NHL's GMs say is the last place you want to be caught in is the middle, because in the middle you drown. I feel like they're scotch taping this thing up a little bit, and they're trying to see, hey, maybe we could, we still got Pasta, we still got McAvoy, maybe we could, scotch tape this roster up and try and make another playoff run. I don't see it. I don't see it at all. I don't think this roster is anywhere as good as it was 2 years ago, and it's definitely not much better than it was last year. So if I was them, I mean, honestly, I would have just gone like full 20 or full 14, 15 Sabres and just blown this thing up. I mean, you got a generational prospect coming down the pipeline, and the only guys that are going after him right now, it seems like, is the Pittsburgh Penguins. And you know what? We cannot let that happen. I wouldn't rather him go to Boston, but I feel
like I'd rather have Boston try to give it another shot than potentially, lucky. I mean, dude, I think he's not in the additions portion of this because he's going back to college, but I mean, getting James Higgins at the draft was, it was a great selection.
It was a great pickup for them.
Yeah. So, I mean, getting him and then possibly Gavin McKenna in back-to-back drafts would be like a nice little 2-year retool window. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of what the end game is here for them.
I don't know. But it just feels like the island of misfit toys.
Yeah. Well, the other big addition, it's not roster-based, but Marco Sturm was the big head coaching replacement for Joe Sacco last season. And, he's definitely a bit of a question mark. He's the first of our key storylines to watch. Was the head coach for the German national team for a few seasons, did pretty well there, was an assistant coach for the LA Kings, and then for 3 seasons he was coach of the Ontario Reign, and they had a few good years under him, but this is his first gig as an NHL head coach, so it's interesting. Firing Jim Montgomery has proven to be, I think, a big mistake. That team was, sure, they were a bit slow out of the gate last year, but I think most people saw that given the roster they had, he was doing probably pretty adequate. And then obviously the run that the St. Louis Blues had once he got there, kind of proved that was a bit of a mistake on their part. But Marco Sturm is stepping in, taking the reins from Joe Sacco, and he's going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, I think this guy's definitely going to be an upgrade from Joe Sacco, but a lot of what my take on this head coaching signing is going to be based off of is the fact that it was sudden too. They were struggling out of the gate, but they're like, yeah, let's just cut ties with a coach that led this team to a historically good regular season a few years ago. and they just kind of like threw him to the side like yesterday's trash. It's no knock on Marco Sturm. I mean, I feel like I'm kind of getting away from the question. I think he will definitely be an upgrade from their last head coach, but in no galaxy would I ever put him in the same conversation as Jim Montgomery. And it was a huge mistake that they let him go in the first place, and that was the mistake out of the gate. That's why they're here right now. That's why this is a key storyline. They didn't need to do that. I get it that it's a cutthroat league, but everybody, as soon
Especially
as they
when
did it,
it seemed like it was Sweeney's turn.
Yes, 100%.
It seemed like it was,
and maybe
like,
Cam Neely.
You know, they had gone through enough head coaches. I mean, dating back to 2018. You know, bouncing from like Claude Julien, then Bruce Cassidy, then firing Bruce Cassidy, and he goes on to win a cup, and now Montgomery, after accomplishing, you know, a pretty decent amount in such a short amount of time. I mean, I'll never forget, you know, the Sabres held on. Like, Don Granato proceeded and coached longer than I think, Don Granato coached more games for the Sabres than Jim Montgomery did for the Bruins. And it was like
That's crazy.
It was like a pretty decent amount. You know, it's obviously a move that has not aged well.
He's going to be tested. I mean, it's a cutthroat market. It's the fans are going to want to win, and he doesn't exactly have the roster to do that. So he'll definitely be tested. Maybe he'll get creative, but it's he's not being put in a good situation here.
I'll always kind of point to, I think it's Jay Fresh usually says it a lot. Like, if you ever want to look at a coach who's probably on the hot seat, look for a roster that is shooting under expected by a lot, and probably biggest of all, has bad goaltending. And bad goaltending is it's arguably the biggest storyline this team has going in, because last season was obviously the first since 2021 where the Bruins did not have Jeremy Swayman and Linus Ullmark playing with one another. It was obviously Ullmark had been sent to Ottawa. Swayman was now on his own, and he had a pretty rough season. What do you think his raw save percentage was last season? Just off the top, if you could guess.
.898.
885.
No, it wasn't that. It wasn't 885. That's pretty horrendous. I'll meet you in the middle. It was .892. So a rough season by his standards. You know, from the advanced side of things, minus 6.43 goals saved above expected. I mean, he wasn't good. He wasn't good. You know, compared to the 23-24 season and the 22-23 season. In 22-23, he was 20 goals above expected. 23-24, he was 22 goals above expected, and you know, obviously his past season 6 below. A big step back, and you can see why the team sort of took after that. They were not able to keep the puck out of the net as efficiently anymore.
With the contract situation looming as long as it did, do you think that could have affected anything?
He didn't. I mean, what he didn't. He didn't start the season. Jonas Korpisalo was their opening night starter, if I remember correctly. I mean, he missed all of training camp and then was just kind of thrown into the mix. So that's a great point. He's got a normal off season now. He doesn't have that hanging over his head. Hell, even Ullmark, obviously he's out of the picture too. You know, he's the guy. He can just focus on sort of his own off season instead of worrying about contract disputes, especially considering. I think when we did this episode last year, I don't even think he was signed yet. I think he was still, like, we were still waiting for that pin to drop, and we were, like, halfway through training camp. So it just goes to show, you know, from that perspective, he didn't get off to, you know, a normal start, which it's no coincidence he had the season he had.
No, I think he definitely bounces back. I think this is definitely one of the bright spots of this entire roster. If this team wants to be any shade of competitive next season, I think it falls on his shoulders. And you know what? I think he's got one of the more capable shoulders in the league. When he's on, he is good, and not only good, he's elite. Like, I have no problem in saying that he's definitely gonna get a little bit of a boost, maybe regress to the mean, back to, above a .9 save percentage. But there's always that second gear he could hit where he's just on it, and he's stealing games for this team. So, like I said, I think a lot of this season for this team is going to fall on his shoulders and how well he performs.
I agree. I think he will have a bounce back season, but at the same time, he doesn't exactly have the best team in front of him, and we know as a Sabres fans, it's not always just on the goaltender. If you don't have good defense, don't have good players in front of him, it's going to make your goalies look a lot worse. So I think he will have a bounce back season, but it's going to be really hard to recapture some of his prior year numbers just due to the team he has in front of him. And I mean, he's gonna learn Henry Jokiharju pretty quick.
Well, I do want to be also. This didn't make the storylines list, but obviously the team comes back from 4 nations, and they're down their best defenseman. Charlie McAvoy didn't play a game past February 8th of last season, so obviously there's some reinforcements on defense coming. But if we hop over to the third storyline, it's written in a funny way, but it's a genuine question. Who's going to score for this team besides David Pastrnak? Brad Marchand's gone. He is now in Florida for probably the rest of his career. David Pastrnak has been sensational the last 2 seasons. Last season, 43 goals, 63 assists, 106 points. The season preceding that, 110 points. Probably the quietest 110-point season you'll ever see. He's been unreal the past 2 seasons. But I'm going to ask you this. First question. Who was second on their team in scoring last season, points-wise? Who do you think it was?
Oh, boy.
He's on the roster now. It's not a trick question. It's not Marchand.
Was it Morgan? Was it one of the geekies?
It was Morgan
Connor?
Geekie. Morgan Geekie had 57 points. Pastrnak had 49 more points than the next guy.
Oh my goodness! He's like Tage Thompson.
And
he's literally Tage Thompson.
Here's another question: who is the last player for their team, not named David Pastrnak, to hit 70 points?
Is it Marchand?
It is Marchand. Can you guess the season?
Oh, man. Was it the COVID season?
No, it's pretty close. 21-22 was the last time a Bruin not named David Pastrnak hit 70 points, and it was Brad Marchand who had 80.
Man, he is a horse for that team. I'll tell you what.
He is the only thing, I think. Obviously, McAvoy is a great player, and Swayman. Obviously, once Swayman's performance dropped off, so did the team's. But, I mean, Pastrnak, arguably, if the team wasn't as bad as they were last season, it's probably that's Hart, type of performances. 50 points more than the next closest player. That's like some Taylor Hall 2018 performance.
I don't see anyone else on this roster scoring besides this guy. This kind of meshes with my Jeremy Swayman take. I think this is going to be a very low event hockey team. They're going to have to rely on their goaltending. Unfortunately, they have, according to according to the Daily Faceoff, Henry Jokiharju might be penciled in as their second right-handed defenseman, and we know how that goes. It spells recipe for disaster for trying to get Swayman his elite season to help this team, but who else? Who's going to score for them? Genuinely, who else?
Let's take a look. Why don't we take a look? Let's get into the lineup. So these lines, as always, projected per the Daily Faceoff. So this is their read on the things heading into the season. So here is the Sabres' projected opening night lineup versus the Boston Bruins. I'll read the Sabres top to bottom first. On the top line, Benson, Kulik, Thompson. Second line, Zucker, Norris, Tuck. Then Doan, McLeod, Quinn. Greenway, Krebs, and Danforth.
Could I stop you real quick?
Of course.
I just need all three of us to just look at those 12 forwards that the Sabres have. Just look at it on paper. Just take a second, internalize it, and be like, this is happening. Guys, this is how this is happening. This 6 weeks from now, this is what's happening. Okay, go ahead, keep going.
On the defensive side of things, Byram and Dahlin is your top pair. Power and Kesselring, Samuelson and Timmins, and then in net, Luukkonen and Lyon. Malenstein, Bryson, and Zach Jones are your extras. On the Bruins side of things, Geeky, Lindholm, Pasternak, Zaka, Middlestat, Arvidsson, Janot, Fraser Minton, Blumel, the third line, Beecher, Corrali, and Isemont. On the defensive side of things, Hampus Lindholm and Charlie McAvoy, Zadorov and Henry Okiharu on the second pair, Lohrei and Peak on the third pair, and then Swayman, Korpisalo are your goalies. Poitras, I always mess this name up. It's Kuznetsov and Kuznetsov. I think that's what it is. Kuznetsov and Harris are your extras. So. My first note about the Bruins is I remember 2 seasons ago there was a lot of hay made about the rise of Matthew Poitras as oh my God, this guy could be the next sort of Bergeron, young two-way forward. And man, to see him not even in the projected lineup for this Bruins lineup is crazy. I know he got sent back down to the AHL last season, but just crazy he can't make this version of the team. Maybe. I mean, like I said, this is the Daily Faceoffs version. What are your guys' immediate thoughts on how these rosters stack up against one another?
That forward group is kind of funny on the Bruins side. I mean, Tanner Janot
Casey
on the
Middlestat
third line.
at second line center.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
This looks like both these forward groups looks like the battle for who's more ass. The Bruins, like I said, it looks like the island of misfit toys. It's weird. Just looking at it on paper, it just looks like I said, Scotch tape, and just it feels like you just took a player explosion in the middle of the league, and then just a bunch of players landed here, and it's just this lineup. I mean, I'll tell you what, some of these guys in the bottom 6, I don't even know who they are. Actually, no, that's a lie. I know Michael Minton and Sean Corrali.
Yeah, I mean, I think you mean Fraser Minton.
Whatever.
He was obviously he was the trade piece coming back in the Brandon Carlo trade at the deadline last season. So there's a young guy with an upside swing. I mean, Morgan Geeky was probably one of the better stories of last season. He had his big breakout, and then they signed him long term. It's not. The team is just. I think they're just missing a second line, which that's a big thing to not have. Because if you put Pavel Zacha, Casey Middlestat, and Victor Arvidsson, if that's your third line, that can work. It's not the greatest, but it's manageable. But this, that's your second line. And even if you, tinker with it, what's, you're taking away from the first line, which even the first line's kind of all hands on deck. I mean, that's probably their 3 strongest forwards. And, even Elias Lindholm, I mean, he didn't exactly have the greatest debut season with the Bruins. So it's, it's rough. There's a reason this team came in 8th place in the division last year. Even dating back to 23-24, the MVP of that team was their 2 goaltenders. It was Allmark and Swayman getting that team to the playoffs, and then David Pasternak scoring 110 points. At the end of the day, I think who finishes ahead of another is probably decided by goaltending.
This forward group for the Bruins, it screams pre-COVID Buffalo Sabres, where we are always like, they don't have a second line. They have the log line, they have all their star power up top, and then they have absolutely nothing in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I will say it's also nice to see Henry Jokiharju on the other side of this graphic.
Yes, it is.
In the top four.
Just like last season.
Yep.
I don't think
we had
anybody.
to talk about him 8 times.
I don't think anybody but Sabres fans are going to give them some shit about having that in their top four.
No.
Just because we've been through it.
Only
People
us.
be like, a young right-handed defenseman, high draft pedigree. Oh, and he left the Sabres. Like he's only gonna get better. And I did think I remember seeing Bruins fans say they liked the Zadorov-Jokiharju pair last season. I don't know. That feels like more of an eye test thing. I checked the numbers. They had like a 47 expected goals percentage as a pair. So it's rough. I think it can work. It's once again. I think that's a fine third pair. Like I think Zadorov's can be your number 4, but he's pretty clearly the number 3 here, and that's just not a great second pair.
I was gonna say, from everything I've seen, Bruins fans love Jokiharju right now. But I mean, small sample size. And
they're going to learn.
Yeah, they'll.
They're going to learn.
They'll learn. Like at least Jokiharju, most of the time on the Sabres, he had Dahlin or Power to kind of bail him out at times, or at least take away some of the focus. But I mean, Zadorov is good. I'm not discounting the fact that he's a good player, but he's no Dahlin or Power.
Yeah, does Henry Jokiharju know that he now has to generate the offense on that pair?
Gonna be so many point shots taken.
I gotta say though, looking over at the Sabres defense, I gotta say, I like it. I do. I mean, I know how we feel about Byram, and I know how some people. Well, I know how the organization feels about Samuelsson, but plus he's not in the top 4. That's a plus. It's a
For
bonus
now.
in my.
We'll see how long it lasts.
Well, we're gonna enjoy it. We're gonna enjoy it right now because that's what it says on paper. Thank you, Daily Faceoff.
The top 4 does look good.
I gotta say, I like it. I like it.
It does. The
here's a
bottom
question.
pair, I don't know, but the top 4 does look good.
Yeah. Here's a question. Obviously, it kind of the conversation has come up a few times, mostly stemming from the fact that Tage Thompson is listed as a winger and might go into next season as a winger. Whose center spine is stronger here? I think there. I think we've come to the realization that the Sabres probably have a bottom 5. Not probably. They do. They have a bottom 5 center spine in the league, and there's really only a handful of teams that you can argue that they're probably better than, and I think the Bruins are one of them, but I don't know if they are.
I think definitely. At least on upside, too. I mean, McLeod is the best center of either team. Norris, if he stays healthy, and I mean, at least Kulik's a young, ascending player. Can't really say that about Mitz. Lindholm's a good player. But I would say the Sabres. That's not saying much, though.
I can't wait for the amount of times we say if Josh Norris stays healthy during this mini-series that we're doing here, because we're going to say it every episode.
Probably.
Josh Norris could just stay healthy, man. It's just like last season, and I hate it because we threw around the if word so much.
Yeah.
It's basically a swear word at this point on this program. We threw it around so much, and every single time it just bit us in the ass. Every single time.
Yeah, I think we need to make some sort of pledge to not bring it up every single episode. I think we just need to assume he's healthy right now. He's healthy going into the season. Let's just plan on that. Just because I remember last series we did this, we must have talked about that we have a better bottom 6 every single episode, and like our bottom 6 sucked. So let's just not
honestly
talk about something every
JP,
time.
Is my memory correct? Did you do every episode last year? I feel like you might have missed 1 or 2. The only reason I bring that up is because I know Christian did every episode, and I know every episode he brought up.
Well, yes.
Yes. I just like the identity of the bottom 6.
Yeah. Yep. No, I mean that was more of a shot at Christian because it was brought up a lot. Yeah.
It lasted one game.
I mean, Jonah and I, we agreed. We just
We agreed.
Yeah.
I mean, for the
Not
most
even
part,
a full game.
yeah.
I mean, it was hard. I mean, look, half the bottom six is your third line, and they have honestly, like, I say this and I mean it. I don't know if there's a better third line center in hockey than Ryan McLeod.
Yeah.
I don't know if I genuinely cannot think of one. There's probably maybe like one or two options out there. It just sucks that like it doesn't matter. Like you have the best player at his position, like arguably, and it's the top half doesn't really save it.
I will say our middle six, I kind of like how those lines are constructed compared to. I think everybody else was mocking, Norris, Tuck, and Quinn, and Zucker, Doan, and McLeod. I might like this better. I don't think I've seen this line combination thrown out that much. I don't know. I actually kind of like how it looks.
It's interesting.
It's fine.
I just, one of my main, and not to get too much in the Sabres talk here because this obviously is a comparison, but I've just never. I don't think they're setting up Norris for success if I
agree with that.
The lines they choose. Just because he doesn't have a distributor on that line. Like Tuck is like a really underrated playmaker, but it's not really his bread and butter. Same with Jason Zucker. So like I felt like, if you throw Quinn up there or like Josh Doan has some like really intriguing underlying stuff with his playmaking. But honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if this is how they shape up opening night, or maybe they, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see kind of what they choose to do here, and even even looking at the Bruins, like I'm still like Matthew Poitras, like are they going to healthy scratch him? Like I feel like that wouldn't be their end game there. So I feel like even the Bruins forward group looks a bit different. I don't know. It's two lineups that it's kind of the battle of mid, maybe worse.
Yeah. I will also not stand for the Beck-Malenstein erasure daily face-off.
I agree with
Justin
that.
Danforth should be an extra there.
I agree with that 100%.
Either way.
And that guy next to Poitras, I'm pretty sure that's a made-up name.
Kuznetsov. He was somebody, I think they traded, it was a deadline move. It was a bottom six forward, I forget. He was on the Wild, they traded him for, now you're going to make me go and look. He was they re-signed him after the season. I think he actually did, he did pretty well there for him. He's not fake. I don't think so. I don't know. Brazo, that's who it was. Justin Brazo. So yeah, this guy. Is well, we really didn't touch on the goaltending.
I think it's an easy call.
I don't know, man. Jonas Korpisalo he was actually pretty solid last year, but it's still Jonas Korpisalo.
I think that according to these lines, I think that the number one goaltender goes to the Bruins and the number two would go to the Sabres.
That's fair enough.
That's how I would put it. I think if you had to rank all these guys, it would go like number one Swayman, and then 2 and 3 is a toss up for one of the Sabres goalies, and then number 4 is Korpisalo.
Yeah. I mean, I might be generalizing here, but it really feels like, goaltending goes to the Bruins, defense goes to the Sabres, and then like the forward group is just a toss-up. You can't really project because the Sabres have 2 20-year-olds on their first line. Their second line center is anchored by someone that's played more than 60 games in a season once. There's just so many unknown. It's so, like, of course I'm going to like take the Sabres, and basing it off of last season, like, yeah, I'm going to take the Sabres. It's just, if the Bruins were to perform a bit better, like it's not the craziest thing in the world.
I was going to say I'd take the Sabres forward group all day. I mean, they were still, top of the league in 5-on-5 scoring. Like, you can't. I know we lost Peterka, but I would take our forward group over theirs any day. Definitely goalies is Bruins, but everything else I think is Sabres.
Yep. Not trying to make it boring, but I also agree with that. I think that the Sabres are the better team. I think Boston's ride is over, and this is where my rant starts. So just cut my mic off right now.
All right, so that's kind of what we're looking to see with the Bruins heading into next season. So it kind of seems like we've come to the conclusion that the Sabres will be the stronger team. It might be the only time in this series that we get to say that. But on the Bruins side, where do we see them? I think it doesn't seem like we feel confident they'll be in the mix for top 3 in the division. Do we see them being in the wild card race? Do we see them being just out of it? Or do we see this team being fully in on the Gavin McKenna sweepstakes?
Tank contention.
I think they were smart. They would go for Gavin McKenna.
They won't be bottom, but I think they'll be, bottom 8 team, bottom 5 team.
They finished with 76 points last season. Do you think they finished with a better or a worse record?
Worse.
Because last year, bad year out of Swayman. Didn't have McAvoy the second half.
Yeah, but they also started pretty good the first half, and obviously their second half was pretty bad. I'll say probably right around the same range, but I'm going to say worse.
I was going to say, could I project the exact same point total again? They hit 76 again.
That feels like cheating.
All right, I'll just say worse.
I mean, that's kind of where I'm at because I think it just kind of evens out.
Right.
Swayman probably bounces back. They're getting McAvoy back as well, but it was a full year of Casey Middlestead and Victor Arvidsson as top 6 forwards. Is Henry Jokiharju in your top 4? Does that even it out?
New head coach.
Yeah, it's new head coach too. You never know. Is it going to work great? Is it just going to be okay, clearly it didn't matter who they had at the helm. Whether it was him or Sacco, this team just kind of doesn't have the talent to compete. It'll be interesting to see kind of how the dust settles there.
It's a lot more fun making fun of teams when they're supposed to be good, but when they're supposed to be bad, it's not as fun. So that's why I know Christian hasn't taken as much pleasure as he may have in the past few years talking about the Bruins.
Yeah. I always love shitting on Boston.
He's always been. He's been burned too many times.
I have been burned too many times. I've been scorned.
If this team is good, I think that's the bit. If this team is genuinely a 90-point team, Swayman better be having a hard campaign because otherwise I just give up.
Me too.
This team shouldn't be good. They should not.
It's the culture, Jonah. It's the culture.
If they're an 85-point team, okay. But if this team's competing or maybe even in the playoffs, what the hell? All right. I think that's going to do it for this episode. So, Bruins, 8th place in the division again next year?
I think that's the easy assumption. So I'm just going to say yes.
All right. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you, folks, for listening. Bruins fans, be sure to tell us if there's any of you listening in. Be sure to tell us what you think down in the comments below. I'm actually interested to see, kind of get a temperature check. What are they expecting going into next season? With Sturm as the head coach and Swayman maybe bouncing back, getting McAvoy back. This Bruins in the post-Marchand era. It's kind of feel like I haven't heard a lot about kind of what fan perception is on their side of things. So if you're a Bruins fan, be sure to leave a comment. If you're not, still be sure to leave one. Tell us what you think. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you're listening to this on audio platforms, be sure to follow us on Twitter at The Sabre Report, also on Instagram, TikTok at The Sabre Report. And if you want updates for this show and for the Sabre Report podcast, be sure to follow us at Sabre Report Pod on Twitter. Won't keep you guys around any longer. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next week where we'll preview the Detroit Red Wings. The Yeiser plan.